Hi, I'm Amos.
And I'm Sara Kasubick.
And we're better together.
We are both fourth grade general education teachers, and we teach in an inclusion co-taught classroom. Our goal for our students throughout the year is to have every student take an active role in their education. By them knowing their strengths and their areas of growth, they can participate in their own learning, they can set personal learning goals, and in the case of what we're trying to do, they can participate in their own IEP meetings. Our goal for today, as you watch our webcast, is to be able to implement some of these things within your classroom and encourage your students to take an active role in their education as well.
Getting students involved, it's really important in our classroom, and I'm sure as well in your classroom, is to get your students thinking about their learning and what helps them become successful. And a way that we do this is we allow choice in our classroom. The students have a choice from their flex seating that they sit in, to where they sit in the classroom, and it just allows that self-advocating philosophy to help them with their learning and what they need as students and to be just overall successful in our classroom. Your IEP needs you. This is really empowering for students to become involved in their IEP process. We believe in the power of yet in our classroom, and this is actually a bulletin board that you'll see in our classroom, and we're wearing shirts today that say, I believe in the power of yet, because it means so much to us in our class. The students take ownership of something they're doing, and learning can be difficult for some students, and that's okay for those struggles to come out with your students as long as they know that it's a learning process and things don't always come easy, and we use things like, I'm not there yet, it's not what I want to do yet, I haven't done it yet, I can't do it yet. And just keeping that vocabulary in their head will help them become better learners.
So what we did with our students in our classroom and other students in our county is we went over with them how they could get involved. So we went over with them what an IEP actually is, and we were surprised by our students of how many of them knew the term IEP but had no idea that it dealt with their actual learning in the classroom.
So we think about things that they're good at in school. So we have those conversations with our students and say, you know, what do you like? What do you not like in school? Because it gives us insight to their learning, and it helps them reflect on things that they enjoy at school and maybe, you know, come to terms with what they can work on to help them through the day.
So in addition to that, we want our students to know that making mistakes is learning. That's one of our big catchphrases in our classroom, because without those mistakes, you don't know what you don't know. And so with the students taking a closer look at what their strengths are, but then also those areas that they might not feel as comfortable with, it helps for them to be reflective on their own learning. And then as teachers, it helps us understand where we need to go with this particular student.
We also like to say that it's not about the fact that some kids use the words like, I'm not good at this, or I'm bad at this. And we like to use the terms like, you need extra support, and that's okay, so that they know that they're supported and they're cared about in our classroom to build that community. Because, go ahead.
We also have talked to them about our own strengths and weaknesses and talk about how everyone has those moments and how you can overcome them. And going back to the whole idea of power of yet, you might not be good at it yet. It just takes time and support and extra things in the classroom to get you there.
With our kiddos, we use this one-pager, and we have found such success with using this in our class, and we use it for all of our students. It's something we pull the class together and we talk about our strengths and our interests and their preferences and what their needs are as learners. Some students tell us some things that are personal outside of the classroom, which is great, like their interest outside of the classroom, but we really try to focus on how they learn and what their learning styles are. But the cool thing is we start with us and we explain, what our strengths are and as learners and what our preferences are. Do we like things visual? Do we like hands-on learning? And we even talk about maybe we are visual learners and we work better that way, so we know we need to work on maybe a little bit more hands-on activities to strengthen those skills.
So with the same idea of giving our students choice, we gave them choice in this assignment. So the students were able to work on their Chromebooks to pull in pictures and to add words. We had pre-cut out pictures that they could cut out. They could use magazines, they could use the clip art and paste the pictures in the different sections. They could use words. We even had a student who was like, I really love drawing. Can I draw what I'm trying to say? Or can I draw me acting out one of my strengths or how I like to learn? And we encourage that because we want those students to be self-advocates for themselves and say, technology isn't my strong suit right now, but I would really love to draw to express what I'm thinking.
And the one-pagers are used for growth as well. So the students' one-pagers at the beginning of the year are very different from when you do a mid-year one or when you do an end-of-the-year one. And we love doing an end-of-the-year one because we can actually pass that on to the 5th grade teachers the following year so that they already get an idea of that student. Not from the teacher that had them, but from that actual student. They can look at how that student learns and what that student is interested in, and that's really neat as a teacher to be able to pass that on.
Yeah. So for what we were doing with our students, we wanted them to understand why they should be part of their IEP. And hopefully by them understanding why they should be part of their IEP, they could take ownership in that. So we had a student, we asked them this question, and our student was like, well, I need to be involved because it's all about me. Like, everything on that paper is involving me, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what you're gonna give me to support me in the classroom, what I'm gonna be able to do. And when he told us that, we were just like, yes, that's perfect. That's exactly why you're here.
Absolutely. So in our classroom, we do a lot of different things to help our students learn. Anywhere from singing to acronyms to help them. And we like to be silly. It's something that kind of keeps our students entertained, keeps us entertained as teachers, to put ourselves out there and have fun. So we actually did this cheer at one of our mini summits with a group of kids that were K through 2nd, and then we also did it with our 3 through 5 kids, and it was awesome. And even our superintendent got involved in it, which was cool. So this is a cheer that we do, and we have these little foam fingers. These are great to help kids read too, so we like them for all sorts of things. But I'm gonna do the cheer for you just because, like, if you're doing this with your students and you get involved with them and you kind of like get them excited about doing something, they're gonna be more likely to jump in and get involved with what you're doing. So our cheer is your IEP needs you, and it's all about me and my IEP. It's all about me and my IEP. I am the I in my IEP. I am the I in my IEP. Individualize Educational Plan is all about me. And I know it's kind of silly, but we just thought it would be fun to put that in here because this is what we do with our students. We have fun with them, and we connect with them, and we use silly things that are like exciting for them.
Our students know too that Miss Amos is more of the, I'm gonna cheer and I'm gonna sing in the classroom. And when she gets up there, we're like, we're ready for it. And they know I take more of the, here's an acronym for this, here's a different way to remember this particular information. And the kids are able to see that we learn differently and have different learning aspects. And that's okay for them to be unique in their learning as well.
And it just goes back to our title of being better together, because together we can show them and together they can show us so much.
So when we were working with the students on the self-determination website, the website I'm Determined is a resource we used a lot of.
It gives our kiddos support for their planning. And these are some of the slides that we use to actually go through with our kids to talk about, this is your IEP. So you should be able to invite people that you want to come, that you can feel supported and that are there for you. And so they came up with a lot of these lists, and we put them as examples here because this is what they said to us. They talked about their mom and dad, their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, because everyone's home life looks very different. So we can't say, oh, your mom is just the most important. It's anyone that's important to that child. We try to focus that for them.
So along with that, we wanted the students to reflect and kind of give an insight. So at the beginning of IEPs, typically you talk about the student and their background and then what their strengths and weaknesses are. So having the student take that ownership and talking about their family and their friends and their teachers, classmates, maybe a pet or something, a hobby that they like to do, it helps let the entire IEP team know more personally about that student.
So in school, a lot of times we start with, in an IEP meeting, their present levels and how they learn and what they like. And if they're in that meeting, they can talk to you about that. They can say, I like these classes and I don't like these classes. And a lot of times we'll say, oh, well, they're more, they pay better attention in the morning. Well, if it's a class that they really like, they're going to pay better attention in the morning. So once we go into that, we also go into what they don't like. And this is helpful just because it's telling us, it's their voice of what they don't like. We all have subjects that we favor, and we talk about that together. Like, I love math, and I love science. And
I'm more of a reading and social studies type person.
And so they can see that, but it doesn't mean that they don't have to work just as hard. But we can say, okay, we see that this isn't their favorite subject, and maybe they might be struggling in it, and that's why. So it also talks about the why. Like, why are they struggling? What is making this difficult for them?
It also helps us as teachers because if they're explaining to us why they don't like a particular subject, it gives us insight. Okay, maybe they don't like that it's sitting and reading a passage. How can we adapt that for that student to get them to enjoy that subject more and have it be of more an interest to them? So we also talk with students about short and long-term goals in our classroom. And especially those students that need that little specialized instruction to get them where they need to be, we want them to know that anything's possible if they set their mind to it. So we talk about what they want to be when they grow up. If they have no idea, which is totally acceptable, we talk about maybe where they want to visit or where they want to live, things that they can control and things that they do want to do so that they know what they're working for in elementary school will carry on into middle school, into high school, and into their future life.
How can you help me make plans for my future? This is a really big thing because we are really big in goal setting in our classroom. From short term to long term, what I need to learn. And this is them thinking about what will help them. If they get distracted really easily, we have dividers in our classroom that will help them. If they realize, I'm sitting next to the door and I can hear a lot going on in the hallway, to say, I need a seat further away from the door. Just making those choices are what really helps our students, and having those conversations to understand who they are as a learner. And sometimes they can explain it to you and they can say, this is really easy for me to say, when the fan is on, it's distracting for me. Sometimes they don't always pick up on those things, but to help them go through the process and having that conversation with them to realize what they're doing or what might be helpful for them, this form right here really narrows that down and focuses them.
And again, with this form, it can be done in different formats. We know different students with different needs can have different areas that they can do. Maybe they like drawing, so they could be drawing on this paper. When we did this with our students, we had different outcomes, and every paper looked different because of that. With that, we have the students set goals for themselves, and we do this with all of our students, but we also adapt it to those students to what is your goal for the next 9 weeks? What is your goal for the end of the year? So that they can build and see their progress, because then that's boosting their confidence, and we are huge with that in our classroom. We want all of the students to have confidence that they're able to do whatever they set their mind to. It just might not look the same for every student. Different students need different supports in the classroom, and our students, from the environment and the positive environment we've created in our classroom, realize that something that works for, let's say, a student named Johnny is not going to work for a student named Sally, and that's okay, because those differences are celebrated in our classroom, not seen as something negative. We also talk about their goals for growing up. With that, we talk about how it could be a goal of what you want to be when you grow up, but it could also be a goal of, do you want to be organized? Do you want to make sure you're on time to appointments? Have a different job, just to make sure that they know their options are limitless.
And with that, it's really important for us, for those students, to realize, they have to be organized. So we talk about, we have to-do lists. We show them and model for our students what our daily lives are like, so that they can take that and they have checklists, or maybe they'll have pictures, visual cues to help them stay focused and on task throughout the day. And those cues and those pictures might look different for all of our students, but it is really helpful for them. Another thing we want to do is we teach life skills and life lessons in our classroom. It's not just about what they learn that day, the math that they learn, or the reading passage that we're talking about. We want them to be good characters and build good character skills. So we talk about giving thanks and being thankful, whether it's for people coming to their IEP meeting, which is what this is about, or saying thank you to the cafeteria worker that just served them food. We want them to get that, appreciation, yes, for what they're doing. And so this would just be another way in their IEP for those students to say, thank you for helping me.
So we've talked a lot about getting the students involved in their IEP, and that might be a little scary at first. I know when we were kind of taking in and going through this approach, we're like, oh my gosh, sitting in a meeting with all adults and then having that student there, I don't want to mention what their weaknesses are in front of them, because I want to make sure they know that they're doing great all of the time. But being able to have those open and honest lines of communication with your student is a huge thing, and that's what we like to do within our classroom with all of our students, especially those students with autism who sometimes perceive things in a different way or in a different light. And it helps us to know them and to be able to have them incorporated in our classroom. So our classroom is a little bit different than your average classroom. As we mentioned before, we are both general education teachers, and we have a special education teacher that works in our classroom as well. We took the approach of an open concept classroom, where we actually took 2 separate classrooms, knocked down the center wall, and now have what you see in the pictures, one big classroom. Now, we know that with distractibility levels and attention to tasks, that we needed to make sure our students were being successful. So we have kind of sectioned off our classroom into different areas. We joke because we have it as the light and dark side in our classroom. One side we kind of keep the lights off. We have the natural sunlight coming in through the window. The other side is bright lights, ready to focus. And we allow the students to choose what side works for you, what's going to benefit your learning plan.
So working together, we had our students come up with some strategies and accommodations that work for them.
So with these strategies and accommodations, we particularly focused on the accommodations that really worked well with our students with autism. So the visual schedules, we had multiple different sensory rooms, cool down spots or a cool down plan for when they have become frustrated with a situation. And then we went as far as communication boards as well. So in the past, we've both had students who can benefit from different styles, and we want the students to take an active role in this. So we actually sat down with our particular students and said, okay, what would benefit you? Would a picture of the actual hook where you hang your backpack be a benefit to you? And if it was, then we added it. Other students didn't want to see the pictures. They wanted to know what steps they needed to do and if they were following the expectations. Maybe that was one of their goals. We also had, as you can see in the center picture, that was one of our many different sensory rooms. We actually, within the last couple years, have had 4 or 5 different locations and spots for the sensory rooms based on the students we had in our classroom. We put little trinkets and different texture items that the students were able to take advantage of when they needed that break. And we worked with our students from the beginning of the year about self-advocating. So being able to say, you know what, I'm sitting here, but I am not focused. I need a break right now. And then they could give us cue cards to say, hey, this is my nonverbal cue that I need to take a 5-minute break right now. They would put the cue card on their table. They would go to the sensory room. They were able to unwind and come back and be able to be an active participant in their learning. We've had multiple different strategies of first-then charts, which I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of that, and other things as far as cool-down spots. We had a student who, without even us planning it, would go to a particular spot in the classroom when he felt overwhelmed. And that has happened with numerous students over the years of they kind of have a spot that calls to them, and so we take advantage of that and we say, okay, how can we make your spot more comfortable? We had carpet squares and beanbag chairs and different things that we were able to put in that spot to help that student and to show them we care, we're here for you. What works for you is going to work for us.
Well, and with the sensory room, it's really important for us to model like how to use it and what works for them. Like they also got choice in those rooms. Like if they really liked playing with Play-Doh, or they liked drawing or painting or playing with magnets, or even just reading a book. Like a lot of students are just like, I want to read a book during this time. It gives them that moment to go. And a lot of students, as teachers, we realize that they take their own breaks in going to the restroom. So we found we even had a student that would just walk out and go to the bathroom like about every half hour. Yeah, half hour. And we were like, they just keep going. And we're really in tune to what our students are doing. So instead of being like, stop going to the bathroom so much, or what's going on, we had that conversation with them, and they were just like, sometimes I just need to go for a walk, or I need to just go take a moment. And that's what, really made us aware of saying, okay, well, let's schedule your break and redirect the natural break you're already taking, but give you an outlet for it and give you something that's gonna reward you and make you come back ready to learn. And we just set a quick timer for them, and they're respectful of it. They come back out and they start working again. And that's a lot of times with the first then you mentioned. A lot of times we would say, first you need to do this for those students that need a little bit more direction for when they take their breaks. First you need to do this, and we might have a picture, we might be able to write it in there, and then you can go to the sensory room, or then you can go for a walk, or get on the computer for 5 minutes. It's just really about focusing their direction. The visual boards also you had mentioned, they have, with the pictures, But then we also have students that need to check them off and say, yes, I did do this. Yes, and that's kind of, we talk about that. I'm a checker. Oh, checked it off my list. I checked it off my list. So that's okay for them to have those things. And we even show like this is a routine that we get into. And it works amazing for each student if it's tailored to their individual needs.
And we learn together with our students. So in the past, we've had students who, when they've become frustrated in a situation, they're not able to verbalize what has caused them to be so frustrated, which is where the communication boards came in. So we were able to place a binder in front of them that had different pictures and different feelings. And instead of them saying, I'm angry right now because this just happened, they were able to point to a picture of what they were feeling at that time and then do a calming strategy with us, enabling them to come to the point of saying, okay, here is why I got to this point, so that we could help them take preventative measures in the future to help them with that strategy and to get them to be able to be back in the classroom.
And our students are very socially aware of what's going on. We have fourth graders, so they can see what's going on in their classroom, and so we try to make sure that those are age appropriate and they are either in a binder or a notebook that those students can go to. Sometimes we even put something like if they need something under their desk for some sensory, or they need their cards for their calming cards that go through, their stages. That is all underneath their desk, or we talk to the student about, is this okay for you? What works for you? And so we found that that's super helpful for us.
Yes. So with all of that, adapting and changing is the pivotal point of all of our teaching. We know that no year is the same. The students change, our teaching styles change, and how we need to approach different situations needs to change as well. So by having the students in the IEP with you, by having the students speak for themselves and tell you their strengths, their weaknesses, their areas that they want to explore further, we're able to tailor those accommodations with them being involved, because then they're able to take ownership of it. We can change, we can adapt. Within 1 year, you may need to change a plan that works beautifully at the beginning of the year, and then halfway through the year, it's just not quite working, so you need to revisit, have that conversation of how to get them where they need to be.
And sometimes with that, that's showing growth in the student. Exactly. So it might be working so well that you need to adapt it to pull away from some of those things that you've put in place, because they are understanding and they are seeing that, these things you've put in place for them just become like second nature for them, and they want to do better. So it definitely shows a lot of growth as well. So
yeah, we know it can be a little scary involving your students in every single aspect of their learning, but you can also see the benefits, which are huge. So if you have any questions or anything that you'd want to ask us, or anything more specific about how we run our classroom or what goes on in that classroom to support those students, you can contact us at our emails, which are listed on the screen.
And we just want to thank you guys, and we hope that you got something out of there that you could do with your kids, whether it's the one-pagers or going to the I'm Determined website and using the IEP template to help them get involved in their IEP, or giving them a little bit more choice in their learning and how they learn. If you need anything, we're here for you, and remember, we're better together.
Thank you.
Thank you.